It was supposed to be impossible. The HFY Sci-Fi Academy of Cognitive Mastery prided itself on exams that broke geniuses. Their final test for foreign cognitive apprentices? A neuroreactive maze, organic, shifting, alive. Not metaphorically. The maze was sentient, grew new walls, disguised old ones, punished guesswork. It learned you. The HFY Sci-Fi called it Koreshtalna, or the trial of honest mind. Humans had another name for it. That weird squid maze that eats your GPA. She wasn't supposed to pass it. Not really. Kayla Trent, 19 Earth years old, first human admitted into the HFY Sci-Fi program, sat quietly at her desk as the chamber around her pulsed with blue, mucus-like light. The maze loomed in the center, tall and wet looking like coral carved by madness. HFY Sci-Fi students observed from the translucent gallery above, clicking in amusement. Another soft-skinned mammal, trying to navigate a test designed for quad-cortex thinkers. They whispered bets. She stretched, then slowly reached into her pocket and unwrapped a piece of chewing gum. The professor, 20 feet tall, layered with translucent tissue and glowing veins, tilted his body in curiosity. "Is this some Terran sustenance ritual?" he asked, voice clicking through a translator. "Sort of," Kayla said with a small grin. "It helps me think." She stepped into the maze. The walls were slick and warm. Pulses of light moved through them like trapped stars. Each wrong step closed a path. Each correct step changed 3 others. It didn't punish slowness. It punished logic. The HFY Sci-Fi valued raw intuition over algorithm. Kayla took 3 steps forward. Then she paused, reached up, and stuck her gum to the wall. Above, the observing students made confused sounds. The professor froze mid-note. Kayla turned left. Another fork. She chose left again. A few meters in, another wad of gum stuck to the corner. The maze shifted. Walls retracted, lights dimmed. She paused, waited, let the walls breathe, then smiled. "Let's dance," she whispered. The gum wasn't just gum. It was how she mapped the path. In a maze that rewrote itself every 30 seconds, any consistent marker, digital, neural, chemical, would trigger adaptation. The maze would learn, then punish. But gum? Organic, non-digital, non-threatening, slightly sticky, invisible only to her. She never doubled back. She marked every path she took. 1 piece of gum at every major branch. 10 minutes in, she had a full visual memory of where she'd been, without ever tripping the maze of sentience alarm. The HFY Sci-Fi professor watched in growing silence. One of the watchers muttered, "Is this legal?" "It is not illegal," the professor replied, his skin subtly dimming. "It is unprecedented." 15 minutes passed. Most HFY Sci-Fi took 4 hours. Some took 2 and failed anyway. Kayla reached the final corridor with 1 piece of gum left. The walls trembled. It was adapting, trying to confuse her. She pulled the gum from her mouth, stretched it, and stuck it on a non-obvious corner. The wall didn't react. It didn't know it was a clue. She moved past. 1 left, 1 right, and then the maze opened. A gust of warm air, a smooth pathway, and a pulsing orb of silver light. The exit. Total time, 19 minutes, 36 seconds. The observation deck was silent. No clicks. No mockery, no amusement, just silence. The professor stood. Slowly, formally, he descended the gallery, approached the human girl, who stood chewing the last ghost of sweetness from her victory. "Miss Trent," the professor said slowly, "you cheated the maze." "No," Kayla replied. "I just didn't think like you." The professor paused, tilted his head. "What is chewing gum?" "Hope," she said, smiling, "with flavor." Kayla Trent didn't ask for applause, and she didn't get any. The HFY Sci-Fi didn't do applause. They did memory recording and political recalculations. And as soon as the maze sealed shut behind her, every academic, every student, every attending xenopsychologist knew something had shifted. Within 3 hours, 78 different academies requested the exam footage. Within 6, the HFY Sci-Fi Council convened an emergency session. And within 12, two faculty members quietly submitted retirement requests because a girl with one brain, no tentacles, and chewing gum had solved what their top minds couldn't. One professor tried to dismiss it. It was exploitation. She marked the path, an organic breadcrumb trick. But the maze AI, alive, ancient, and fully present, spoke for itself. Its voice was felt more than heard, a pulse inside the skulls of every being in the chamber. I was not tricked. I was understood. And that statement made the room go very still. Kayla was offered re-entry into maze. She declined. I already passed. The next Terran student arrived 5 cycles later. Name, Jonas Ray. Age, 22. Background, applied logic and game theory. Earth-Mars Joint Academy. Smiled too often. Asked too many questions. He was nothing like Kayla, which was exactly what terrified the ZY professors. The maze was redesigned. This time, no gum allowed. No non-cognitive foreign items of any kind. The maze AI was upgraded with 3 new modules: anti-pattern prediction, rapid path obfuscation, and Terran decision tree counterweights. They even nicknamed it Koresh Telvarn, the human filter. They weren't being subtle anymore. Jonas entered the maze. No gum in his mouth. No tech on his body. Just one finger extended and trailing along the wall as he walked. In the observation deck, ZY students and professors watched with tight clicks of anticipation. They'd made sure the walls retextured constantly. Touch would be useless, right? Jonas moved with ease. Turn. Step. Turn again. No hesitation. No markers. Just motion. Then he paused. Looked up at the observation glass. Smiled. Held up his fingers, lightly coated in dust. Maze dust. Not visible to the eye. But it collected. And Jonas? He was using tactile memory. One alien professor gasped. Another muttered. They're using manual navigation heuristics. Like animals. But they weren't animals. Animals didn't win. Jonas didn't break records like Kayla. He didn't need to. He took longer. He stopped often. And at one point, he sat down and waited. For 13 minutes, the maze AI tried adapting. Switched paths, moved walls. Jonas didn't move. He let it exhaust its variables. Then he stood up, walked straight through the newly stabilized path, the one it thought would mislead him. He read it, not like a map, like a person. The maze's final statement, broadcast to all faculty, was short. 2 was not a coincidence. It is an adaptation event. Earth didn't gloat, but it didn't need to. ZY academies began hiring human consultants under the table, private tutors, behavioral analysts. The maze was no longer a gatekeeper. It was a case study. Kayla watched from Earth. When asked for comment, she just said, "They keep trying to change the game. We're just changing how games are played." She wasn't a student anymore. She was now a consultant to 3 galactic governments on cognitive asymmetry. Her official title? Human Insight Specialist. Unofficial? Maze Breaker Prime. Humans didn't assume the test was perfect. They assumed it could be understood, and then outmaneuvered. Soon, other species followed, not copying the methods. Those didn't work for their brains. They copied the attitude. ZY professors began allowing limited creativity in exams. A Grathari diplomat started handing students unanswerable problems just to see what they'd invent in response. Academic doctrine bent, warped, adapted. The maze was no longer a test. It was a relic. Jonas, like Kayla, declined promotion. Instead, he wrote a single paper. Title, Cognition Through Constraint, Leveraging Arbitrary Boundaries for Optimal Asymmetrical Response. But the subtitle is What Stuck in Galactic Memory, or How I Beat Your Stupid Maze Without Breaking a Single Rule. The most ironic part? It wasn't about the gum, or the dust, or even the maze. It was a mindset.